Good morning, America. Praise God. It was a beautiful day today. Most amazing. It's cold, but it's sunny. It actually doesn't feel too bad, especially not in the sun. Or especially in the sun, it feels not too bad. You guys vote yet? I voted a while ago. I'm not sure if I I'm not sure if I did my duty fully. I really don't like voting, but what I like does not matter. All that matters is what what the Torah says and what the sages, both in the past and in our days, say. I left a quote, or not a quote, but a link to Rev. Victor Miller's website. I mean, it's not really his website. He passed away a while ago, but it's ran by some of his students. It's Rev. Victor Miller on religion and politics. One of his students in a lecture from, well, this is from 1984, tape number 524. One of his students in a lecture asks, "What do you say about the subject of mixing religion and politics?" It's an accusation lately brought up against Reagan that he's mixing religion and politics too much. Reverend Victor Miller says, and our answer is that we want mixing of religion and politics because everyone is doing it. If Governor Cuomo went and attended a gay banquet to raise money for gays for political action, isn't that mixing religion and politics? Of course it is. That's his religion. What else is it if not politics? Is it public welfare? Is it a benefit for the youth? Is it to make more money for the government? No, it's a religion. And he goes on to talk about how it's good to vote against all the wicked people that want to not just destroy the government and the country, but the world, and go completely against the Torah. Whether it's you know, abominations of one type or another. And while most politicians are certainly not righteous people, and they all have lots of horrible warts and flaws, and most of them are probably absolute corrupt criminals. We don't live in a world where it's always black and white, always good and evil. Sometimes we have to pick the less evil, less crusty, disgusting choice if we're forced to. And in politics, we are. Or as far as our government goes, most important thing, voting is important. Not because we have any real say. It's just it's one of the tools that God uses to hide behind. To make it seem, like he's not really running the show, which he absolutely is. When I woke up this morning, I had to go. I do my weekly trip lately, and I noticed that I noticed that I left my car window down for a week. And it's been raining pretty good. So that was fun. I tried to soak up some water with a couple rags, but I think most of it was soaked down in pretty good to the cloth seats. So I gotta make sure to roll up the windows more often, or every time, and I gotta make sure to take a couple more trips with the heater on and warm the car up and try to dry it out and clean off the inside of the windshield. It's all dirty from condensation on the inside. But election day and the Rev. Victor Miller link someone posted somewhere, reminded me of this Perkea vote that I learned a while back, following along at home with Rabbi Yaron Rubin's lectures, which, if you're interested, there's links in the description. Brainwash yourself now before it's too late. But as Perkea vote 3-2, Rabbi Hanina, the vice high priest, said, "Pray for the welfare of the government, for were it not for the fear it inspires, every man would swallow his neighbor alive." This Mishnah and Perkei Avot is kind of long, and it has like a whole bunch of other stuff from a few different rabbis. And it goes on to say, Rabbi Hananiah ben Teradion said, "If two sit together and there are no words of Torah spoken between them, then this is a session of scorners. As it is said, nor he sat in the seat of the scornful. Rather, the teaching of the Lord is his delight." That's from Psalms 1:1. But if two sit together and there are words of Torah spoken between them, then the Shekhinah, God's presence, abides among them. As it is said, then they that feared the Lord spoke with one another, and the Lord hearkened and heard, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name. That's from Malachi 3:16. Today we're interested in the first statement that Rabbi Hananiah, Hanina, Rabbi Hanina. That's right. Slowly we learn to speak. That Rabbi Hanina said about the government. A while ago, I was talking about not really liking America, but I mean, it's where I live. And the Torah says we have to pray for the government, not just to inspire fear in people, but also to make good decisions that benefit people, and most importantly, as many decisions as we have merit to get that will follow the Torah. And the most important thing for our prayers to be answered in that regard, whether it's just decisions that benefit people or that follow the Torah, is if we do teshuvah, every person, or as many people as possible. And in the process of doing Teshuvah, we all pray for the government to get wisdom from God and to make good decisions that will, be good for us and the world. There is certainly no hope in putting your faith in people. That's for sure. At least not 100%, not in any politician. The politician is just a puppet. I mean, it's, for anyone that's looked into politics seriously, it's pretty obvious politicians are puppets because they're all bought and traded like, sports team players with money from various corporate interests and international finance. But that's just, like I said earlier, that's just another way for God to hide behind everything. So it looks like, wicked people who are bent on controlling the world have all the power, which they certainly do not have any power whatsoever other than what God gives them or lets them think of themselves. Mostly so he can pay them their reward in this world, so he can destroy them in the next. Unless they do Teshuvah, Teshuva, to return to God. It's a clear series of steps. The Rambam lists 4 steps. Stop the sin. Build a fence to prevent yourself from sinning again. Regret the sin. Along with, confessing the sin to God or any asking for forgiveness, either between God and another person. If the sin was something like, theft or a person caused someone else to sin, then they should, if at all humanly possible, and it's not going to endanger your life or your liberty, to ask, say you're sorry and ask the person that you sinned against for forgiveness as well. And then step 4 is to pass the tests. When God decides that we're far enough along, he'll send us a test to see if we're strong in our Teshuvah. Hopefully we are, and hopefully we pass it with his help. If we took it seriously, if we learned enough, and we asked him for help. And if we didn't, then that sucks. But we're humans. We're not angels. We're not perfect. We just admit that we have a long way to go, and start the process over again. Do Tshuva. See where you went wrong, why you failed the test, retrace your steps of how, where, and when you failed, because it certainly does not start at the time when you flipped on the horrible website on your phone or your computer, or when the disgusting words flew out of your mouth, or when you put that thing in your pocket that wasn't yours, or whatever it is. It certainly didn't start there. It started a long way back. It's just like drug addiction or alcohol, like in more ways than one, because the pattern of like of addiction and relapse and the steps to get clean or sober are not only the same as it is for doing teshuva, but they're also they're also sins. There's a sin to get high. There's a sin to get drunk. Because you're destroying the body. I mean, it's probably not as big a deal, for a non-Jew for those things, but it's still not good, even at all. Thank God I was able to quit smoking with God's help this year. The weird thing about it is, though, they say your circulation, is debilitated by smoking. Well, my circulation's never seemed that great. It definitely hasn't seemed to improve with not smoking, as far as I can tell. But I could be wrong. The other scary thing was I was listening to some guy talk about how he his process of quitting smoking, and it took him losing his leg because he had a really horrible circulation, so he lost his leg. And I was listening to another story in one of Rabbi Rubin's lectures. He talks about a rabbi from like a couple hundred years ago, I think, that had some pains in his leg, so he went to the hospital, and the doctors amputated his leg. And then they find out that they made a quote mistake and amputated the wrong guy's leg. Like he just had some kind of random pain, and he didn't really need his leg amputated. And I was thinking about that and the story of the other guy that lost his leg from smoking, and I thought, man, that's terrifying. One because I get the feeling that probably should have or could have been me, losing my leg. Thank God that hasn't happened. Hopefully we can endure whatever tests God places before us. Hopefully we can earn the merit for them to not be so brutal. Or if they do have to be brutal, at least hopefully we can endure them without throwing everything in the garbage. Some things are pretty terrifying like that. There's one thing that I heard recently that kind of gave me some, in Rabbi Rubin's Stump the Rabbi 139 lecture. Definitely worth watching. I mean, every lecture is worth watching, but specifically if you have any any fear or like sheer terror about the fact that you've committed so many sins and you have no idea how you're going to possibly do teshuva for all of it, either before you die or before Mashiach comes and everything is finalized and there's no more chances. It's whatever it is whatever it is at that moment, whether it's death or Mashiach arriving, which is certainly not Jesus. Just in case you're wondering, I mean, if you do think that, there's plenty of evidence to the contrary. If you want to know the truth, watch some of the old live streams, past live streams the last few months here, and most importantly, pray to God and read the weekly Torah portion with some kind of decent translation, specifically hopefully with Rashi commentary, so you can have a clue that the translation that you're reading is not some kind of complete garbage and heresy or idol worship. But in Rabbi Reuben's Stump the Rabbi 139, during the Q&A, I think it's around the 1 hour mark, 1 hour and 9 minutes, give or take. Someone says, is it healthy to be constantly terrified at the prospect of Mashiach arriving at any moment? I'm certainly not. He says, I'm certainly not a fan or a believer in the Mashiach now concept of like many mistaken Chabadniks want Mashiach to come like right this second. And, that may be fine for a person that is completely righteous and done full and complete teshuva, or that's never committed a sin to begin with, which is not really possible, especially not these days. But Rabbi Reuben gives some good clarification on, like, we should be afraid. We should have fear of God, fear of sin, especially if it motivates us to learn more, to apply it to our lives. But it says, don't be terrified at all the things that you weren't able to do or haven't got to yet. Just learn as much as you can and do teshuva for as much as you can. And another great piece of advice he gave a while back was, don't tackle the huge impossible things. Like I learned this with weeding the garden beds. It doesn't sound like something that you could learn Torah from, but a person can learn Torah in everything, whether it's digging in the dirt or whatever a person's job is in this world, digging ditches or working on computers. If you look for the truth, God will show it to you. But don't go reaching for the far stuff that's far away and seems like the most important thing to do because it's huge. Start with what's close, what is easier to do. Like if you stole $1 million and you don't have $1 million, don't worry about repaying $1 million. Worry about the fact that you stole a tool from your brother and you didn't give it back, or you yelled at your wife or your kids or your parents or whatever. Something that's simple. Work on your anger. Work on your jealousy. Stop watching filth and disgusting, horrible things. And build a huge, tall fence to keep yourself from ever committing any sins of immorality, like wasting seed, watching porn and garbage like that. And that's just the most extreme case. A person really shouldn't watch pretty much any TV or movies because it's all filth in some way or another. It's just, how much sewage do you let into your glass of water? Are you drinking it, sewage straight out of the tap at Pornhub or black.com, or are you just like watching some sitcom with and just letting like a few drops of sewage into your drinking water? You want, and that's really what it's like, because chugging raw sewage will kill you like really, really fast. But drinking water with a couple drops of raw sewage in it is eventually going to kill you just the same. It just might take a little longer and not be, you might not even notice it, because the water still tastes decent, unless you have a clean glass of water that you're drinking from. Something to contrast it with. Which, until we stop watching all the filth and garbage and get our souls a little bit not so disgusting, only then can we smell and taste the sewer. Well, this has been I don't know, it's productive for me. Screen says no one's watching, but hopefully that changes in the future. At least if you do something. If you're not going to do anything, there's really no point in listening to these. That is the whole point of everything, is to do something. Stop stealing, stop being a liar. There's one rabbi, I can't remember what his name was, but I heard it from Rabbi Reuben, and it's sure, like pretty much everything else, that the biggest, most impactful thing that a person can do to become more righteous and more in line with Torah is to just like strictly adhere to as best they can to stop lying. That doesn't mean like, you have to tell people the blunt truth that's going to like brutalize them and constantly open your mouth about everything. But, it means when you do need to talk, and when it's not going to cause more problems, or at least, like more sins. Be honest with everything, like in your heart as best you can. And this rabbi said that just that process of internal honesty, of not lying, will transform and translate into every other aspect of life, to where you won't be able to steal, because it's dishonest. And everything else. So not lying is like the number one first step, probably, if that's all you can do. But try to do as much as you can. Slowly, slowly. But don't dally and dawdle. Don't take your time. As that is one thing that God says is unforgivable. That's another thing that Rabbi Reuben mentions in the answer that he gives for the guy's question about is it healthy to be constantly afraid of Mashiach arriving at any moment. He says, if a person does teshuva, there's pretty much, everything at least starts and tries constantly. We're given like a near infinite amount of mercy. But the one sin that is not forgivable at all is a verse from Deuteronomy saying, peace will be upon me. Peace will be upon me. I think it's Deuteronomy 29:18. And it come to pass when he hears the words of this curse that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace. Basically, reading all the curses in, I think it's, I forget which one it is. Parashat, see if I can find it. If God will help me out here. No, not Hazinu. I think it's Parashat Nitzavim. Yeah. Nitzavim. Parashat Nitzavim is 29:9 through 30:20. It's like God through Moshe tells a bunch of like a prophecy and a promise of all the curses that will befall someone if they don't observe the laws. And if they read all those curses, or if a person knows, everyone, even if they haven't read any Torah, people know in their heart that there are consequences for their actions. Even the most corrupted, disgusting, filthy person like myself, like I used to be, we know in our heart that there's consequences for our actions. But even more so if a person actually reads them in the Torah and knows, and then says, well, God understands. I had a hard time. He'll let this and that go. He certainly will not. God is not joking around. He wants us all to do teshuva, both Jews and Gentiles, non-Jews, Noahides, Goyim, whatever you want to call yourself, or them, us, we. But oh man, I just realized I'm probably on cellular data still. That's why it's full bars. Oh well. Make good use of it, I guess. God understands that there are laws that he made for the world. He's given us all the signs and all the help so many times. And if we don't wake up, sometime, our chances are going to run out because we're just doing so much destruction to his world that he made and screwing things up. So is better for us and everyone else. If we don't do teshuva, he's going to have to rip us out of it and then toss us into Gehinnom, into hell, and destroy us after, however length of time a person wants to conceive, even though, time doesn't exist in the upper worlds. Time is something just for here. So it could be like 1 second, or it could be a million years down here, or it could be like 1 trillion years down here. And it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's all just whatever lot of suffering that a person is slated to get to pay for the remainder of our debt for screwing up for so long. Sometimes that's, not very long, just to clean us up if we either didn't sin by very much by some miracle of God's mercy and our own strength, which is pretty much nothing, or at least our own attempts and effort, I guess, is the best word. Or he has to keep us in there in the 7th level forever until everything is wrapped up and we're completely destroyed and there's nothing left other than the little bits of energy that he made our souls with. So it's best to see that and beg him for help every day for the rest of our lives. And that's what it takes to have a good president or a good Congress or a favorable government of any kind, whether it's the dog catcher or the worldly king that most countries call presidents now. I'm gonna get, well, I was gonna leave, but there's one viewer. You have any questions? How are you doing today? Did you vote? I don't really like voting, but God says it's important. One of the reasons why God uses all the puppetry of politics and people that control corporations and all that garbage is that if he didn't hide behind all those things, he would have to show his presence a lot more clearly. And we just don't have the merit for that, because if that were to happen, anytime we screwed up, he would have to destroy like millions of people, because that's when God shows himself fully, it's that's the truth. He has to rule by the truth, and his attribute of judgment is a huge part of that. So he kind of, in order to give us a lot of mercy and time to do teshuva, to return to God and follow his Torah, whatever we're obligated to, Jew or Gentile, he hides behind things like, political puppets and other worldly paper tigers. I hope you guys don't think that the boog is going to work out, or anything like it. Because if God, you know, if God uses politicians as puppets, he's he certainly uses armies. I mean, it's clearly listed in the Torah, in the throughout the Tanakh. Like, woe unto Assyria, the rod of my staff. Like he tells the prophet that he's I forget which book it's in, but it should be easily findable, searchable. He tells the prophet that he's going to use Assyria. He's going to give them all this power. Let them build their army and think that they're rulers of the world. And they'll come in and destroy Jerusalem, capture millions of Jews and take them as slaves. And then eventually he knows that they're going to do teshuvah. The Jews will do teshuvah, not the wicked goyim from Assyria. And when that happens, then he will totally destroy Assyria, just like he did with Babylonia and the Greeks and the Romans. Although he did leave a little bit of the Romans left, because he had to give Satan some kind of tool for the future. So they could turn into the Roman Catholic Church and be a counter, be a contrast for holiness and truth and good, which only comes from the Torah and nothing else, and following what it says, whoever we are, whatever we're commanded to do. If you're a non-Jew, that means keeping the seven laws of Noach, which is really 7 categories of laws. There's a lot more than 7 laws. But generally speaking, I forgot. God took away my train of thought. Or I lost it, or both. I need to get going though. The body needs food to function. At least my body does. I don't hear too much from a lot of you guys anymore. I hope you're learning somewhere. Hope you're learning Torah somewhere. I hope you're applying it to your life. And God promises. I mean, in the Torah, he's specifically talking to the Jews. If you search, no matter where you are in the world, the ends of the earth during the exile, if you search for God with all your heart and all your soul, you will find him. But he's also, he's speaking to everyone, Jew and Gentile alike. And the truth is a constant process. It's not like you can't get red pilled. There's no such thing. Because you're going to take whatever someone else says. And when you hear something that contradicts it, that that gives you a more cozy, warm feeling that allows you to remain however you want or fulfill more of your physical desires. You're going to cast off whatever you got red pilled on for some other garbage. So you got to toil for the truth. But if you read the Torah every day, or maybe not read it every day, but read the weekly Torah portion every week, and you pray to God and you try to apply what you learned to your life, and hopefully watch some lectures that are listed in the description of this video. If you do that, eventually, slowly, God will show you the truth. And believe me, it's not always easy. A lot of times it feels like you got kicked in the gut. But are you gonna, you gotta ask yourself, do I want to be placated to and told comforting lies, or do I want the truth that is going to be the most good for me now and the rest of your life and the rest of eternity? I mean, I've been doing this for a year and a half or something like that, and it took almost a year of praying to God for help and showing me the truth before I got anywhere near like using the skills that He gave me and the time that I have to do anything other than I should say mostly just fulfill my own ego. I let my Yetzer Hara, what is evil inclination, aka Satan, I let it convince me that all the stupid videos that I was doing was like the best use of my time, and everything else that God gave me, which it certainly wasn't. But it's also part of a necessary process, I guess, to toil for the truth and get to where I am now, which is definitely not a destination. It's like just a place on a map that is constantly moving, with God's help, closer to Him. Is it cold where you guys are at? It's kind of cold here. If you have sweet potatoes, you should harvest them. Most likely, anyways. I still have like two 25-gallon containers of sweet potatoes I need to get out of the ground before it gets down to 28 in a couple days. Pretty good about the strength. He will give me this. Give me the help. I want strength. I want help. But I'm gonna get going because I need to get out of the cold and I need to eat some food. I'll talk to you guys soon. May God bless America. May we earn the merit for that blessing.